finally, the last film is the acclaimed romance film from 1992, Like Water for Chocolate, directed by Alfonso Arau. It has a Letterboxd score of 3.4 out of 5, an IMDb of 7.1 out of 10, a Rotten Tomatoes of 88% fresh, and a Metacritic of 86. As for accolades, it was nominated for the BAFTA for Best Film Not in the English Language. So, Like Water for Chocolate. I gotta say, as I'm getting older, it's kind of hard for me to get a reaction to a movie that is erotic, that is meant to be sexual and tantalize, and meant for the audience to get, I guess, turned on as they're watching the film. But I gotta say, some of the scenes in this film, it worked. It worked for me. There are some definitely sexy scenes in this film. I think the one scene that really got me was one scene with Gertrudis in the shower with the flames coming up. And then her running out of the shower naked into the arms of a horseback rider. And I'm like, damn. It's like, shit. But like, there are other scenes that are sexual in nature that work incredibly well in this film. So I want to give the film that. And, you know, there's some definite nice food porn scenes. And what I mean by food porn, if people don't know, is it has really good looking food that makes you hungry. And that's basically it. Like, the food does look great in the film. So I will give it that. I will say that the plight of the main character, Tita, throughout the film has some decent drama. I felt for the character, I would say, for the first 45, 50 minutes of the film. I was into it, but I wasn't really engaged. I was like, okay, where is this going? But I've got to say that one of the things that kind of killed the drama for me was how cartoonishly evil the mother was in this film. They try to do something in the end to make you feel bad for her, but then they kind of double back on that and make you hate her again. It is so cartoonish that I just couldn't take it seriously. So when the mother was getting more and more controlling, I was just sitting here going, okay, come on. It's like, really? Okay. All right. So we're going that way? Cool. I didn't really like the dynamic with the mother and Tita and just how the mother was. Hell, I've got to be honest, too. I didn't end up liking any of the main characters in the film. Tita, Pedro, the sister ended up marrying Pedro, John. I didn't like any of the main characters at all. And I think that it's got a lot to do with how the film ends and what Tita does as the film goes on. And the film wants you to sympathize with this character. Clearly they do. At the end, I just kind of can't, because she does a bunch of screwed up stuff to essentially try to get what she wants. And I'm like, this is not working for me. At the end, the romance and everything going on with her just did not work for me at all. And there's one aspect of the film I have not talked about, and this is the thrust of the film, no pun intended, sorry, there's this whole dynamic with Tita where her feelings come into her cooking. So when she's sad, when you eat what she is making, when she's sad, they cry. Or when she's aroused and you eat what she is making, you get aroused, stuff like that. I don't think that dynamic is pushed hard enough. I don't think, again, no pun intended, Jesus Christ. But I just don't think they do a lot with that dynamic that is interesting. It just seems like, well, she's this, so they have to be Y. And I'm like, okay, cool, I guess. I think there is an interesting dynamic and a fantasy element to this film for me that could have really worked, and it really just didn't. It's based on the book. I might give that a shot, because the movie itself honestly just didn't do much for me in the end. In the beginning, I was interested, but then as the film moved forward, I started not liking any of the characters and everything that was going on. I do like the look of the film, and some of the music is good, if not a little too melodramatic. But that being said, it's a film that I overall just did not like. Now, in every episode of Watch Rate Heart, I not only give you my opinions of the films I'm watching, but I also give you opinions of the Letterboxd community. And this first one is from Brendan Carr. Brendan gives it 2.5 stars out of 5, and Brendan said, I really want to like this more than I ended up feeling about it. But the print I saw of this on HBO was saddled with some ghastly, inappropriate dubbing track, which was at odds with the actors, and in spite of the film's beautifully realized atmosphere and, from what I could get past the dubbing, soulful performances, I ended up feeling the film was a bit of a cheat. Okay, let me break that down a little bit here. So I got to watch the film in Spanish on MGM+, and there is some English in between some of the characters. And I was thinking to myself, the English is pretty bad in this. They really sound off. And I don't know if that's because the actors, their English was not their first language, which Could be. I thought that was bad. But if you saw a straight up English dub of this film, English dubbing back then was pretty bad. So I can kind of see if he saw that and the dubbing was bad, that this could have been a big problem. But anyway, moving forward. It tells the tale of a forbidden love that was torn asunder for years by the girl's hostile mother, and how the young woman gets a release through her magical cooking. And I'm fine with that. What I am not fine with is how the film seemingly feels intent on punishing its lovers, and the end, I feel, is a horrible mistake that seems intent on trying to mock the audience for even caring about this pair or about the film in general. And that really curdles everything that went before. Everything that was charming and warm and vital and appealing, and that is a true shame. You know what? I can see where he is coming from. However, I feel like this movie was trying to straddle a line between a morality tale and a lustful erotic tale, and it just kind of doesn't work for me. But I definitely get with Brendan's perspective, where if you were starting to like these characters and the film just punishes and punishes and punishes and punishes, it can be a bit of a slog. So I can see where he's coming from. Now, I want to point out the next 3 reviews. There was only a few reviews I could get from my friends list, so I had to go into the popular reviews for this film, and I gotta salute the Letterboxd community, because normally I don't like showcasing a lot of funny reviews from Letterboxd because most of them are not that funny. But the Letterboxd community delivered in a big way, because some of these reviews are hilarious. This one's just an obvious one. This one is from Joe Pelletier. Joe gives it 3 stars out of 5, and Joe just simply says, "This is a very horny movie." Yep, that it is, Joe. Very horny. Then this next review is from Jess. Jess gives it 3 stars out of 5, and Jess says, "When the quail's so good, you have to start self-pleasuring at the dinner table." Yeah, this film gets a little ridiculous. Absolutely. But my favorite is this review from Mackenzie. Mackenzie gives it 1 star out of 5, and she says, "He came so hard that he died." Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was ridiculous. So in review, there's some definite sexy scenes, as well as some good food porn scenes. I think the plight of Tito was decent at first, but the mother character is so cartoonishly evil that I kind of stopped caring about the drama overall. In the end, I didn't like any of the main characters at all, and the whole her feelings and her food thing that was going on, I think was pretty underutilized. I overall did not like this film. I'm going to give it at 1.5 stars out of 5. I know this is a beloved film for some, and that this was a big international hit the year it came out, but I ended up kind of being a little confused as to what it was trying to do and what it was trying to say. I feel like parts of it were cut that shouldn't have, or maybe when they adapted it, they kind of took more out of the book than they should, because there are some things in this film that I just felt did not fit very well. But overall, 1.5 stars out of 5 for me for Like Water for Chocolate. Now let's recap the movies I've reviewed in this week's reviews. I gave 3 stars out of 5 for Frida. Hayek and Molina's performances are great, as well as their great chemistry. There's some nice colors and direction with some beautiful flourishes as well. But the film really is more about Frida and Diego than it is about Frida and her art, and I felt that was kind of disappointing. I gave 2 stars out of 5 for Kronos. It showcases Del Toro's trademark style and storytelling, but in the end, it felt undercooked with the important details that you would expect. I gave 1.5 stars out of 5 for Like Water for Chocolate. I ended up liking none of the characters in the end. I thought the mother was too cartoonishly evil, and the whole fantasy concept of her feelings in her food just feels underutilized. And my film of the week is easily Coco, which I gave 4.5 stars out of 5 with a heart. This has Pixar's best visuals, and I think it's their best film since Toy Story 2. Very well told story with great shifts and twists and an emotionally beautiful ending. I highly recommend Coco. And that is it for this episode of Watch A Heart. But before I go, I would like to make a request. I want to do more Mexican films next year, but I want to get into more classic Mexican films. I'm seeming to having a hard time finding which ones to prioritize. So if you guys can go in the comments section and recommend me some good Mexican classic films, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. So next week, I am deciding to review films that are focusing on motherhood for Mother's Day. The films I'm reviewing are The Kids Are All Right, Terms of Endearment, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and Marvin's Room. Check that out next week. If you like any of the reviewers I've highlighted in this episode, you can check the video description for a link to their Letterboxd profile. Be sure to give them a follow and let them know that Brad from Watch Rate Heart sent you. You can follow me on Letterboxd and X at Watch Rate Heart. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and share with your friends. I'm Brad from Watch Rate Heart. Thank you for watching, and remember, we all watch and rate movies, but you give them the heart that makes them live forever.